Just one day. You're joking, right, Gauri? Or you're crazy. Can't be anything else. Here's a suggestion. While they're taking out your other parts, ask them to put in a brain, because you're evidently lacking one. Me, look after your kids for 2 weeks while you recover. You've got to be off your rocker. She wasn't. The other option was to look after her. Hospital stays and baths and dressings and such like, which our other sister was currently signed up for. So here we were, at my doorstep, 2 nervous kids lugging their small bags, me putting down their large suitcase to take out the house key as the door was opened from the inside. Ratnabai leant down with wide smiles and open arms to welcome the boys as I dragged their stuff to the guest room, now rechristened the boys' bedroom. I had prepared a list of rules, a copy of which was posted on the inside of their bedroom door with blue tack. No scratching the furniture or scribbling on the walls. No running in the house. No breaking or destroying things. No creating a mess. No disturbing me when I was working. And a few more. They all started with no. I was planning to have a sit down with them right away and make sure they understood those rules. I wasn't used to house guests, and certainly not those whose age had not yet reached double figures. I was a bachelor and unused to kids. I was doing them and their mother a massive favor, and they better know it and appreciate it. By the time I went out again, Ratnabai had them at the dining table tucking into pancakes and hot chocolate. Well, I thought, that should take care of lunch and maybe even dinner, considering the way they were going at them. Ratnabai was a godsend, stepping up to the plate like a champion. She seemed to know everything about provisioning small boys, and these small boys in particular, having already had a chat with Gauri, it appeared. Maybe my sister had more smarts than I'd given her credit for. When they'd been fed, I sat down to discuss my rules. Their happy faces started congealing, and Karthik, the younger one, began to look like he would blubber. So I quickly added a new rule: no crying. Ratnabai was leaning against the sink and glaring at me. What? They need to know the rules? They can't just do as they please? She smiled sweetly at the boys and encouraged them to go to their room to discover and unpack. And as they eagerly ran from the room, she smacked her palm hard against her forehead and spat out the word men. This was an alarming side of Ratnabai I had not seen in the 8 years she'd worked for me. They are scared. Their mother is undergoing a major surgery and will need intense nursing care. They are staying for a few weeks with an uncle they don't know so well. Everything is strange and different. And this is the time to read them your silly rules. They've come to their uncle's house, not a military camp. They're good kids. They need some love and support, and you have to provide it. I can't be here 24 hours to do it for you. With that blast, probably more words than she otherwise spoke to me in a month, she turned her back on me and got on with her work, leaving me clueless as to what I should do. Until, without turning from the sink, she helpfully snapped at me to go. So I went, recalibrating fast as I sought them out. It wasn't such a large house. I discovered them in their room. They hadn't unpacked, but they had been studying the rules. Vishnu faced me squarely. Mama, we don't scratch furniture or color on walls. We don't destroy things. We are not allowed to play rough sports inside the house, and we always have to clear up after ourselves. We are little boys, not savages. Uh-oh. Seems I'd got that quite a bit wrong. So I pulled up a chair, put on a big smile, and pushed out the humble pie-eating words. That was meant as a joke, boys. I stuck out my arms, and before I could blink twice, they'd both flung themselves onto my chest, knocking the breath out of me, and I folded my arms around them in an unpracticed gesture, grimacing at myself above their heads. Oh, Mama, I was so scared. You're a funny fellow. They giggled, but I'm sure I caught a small sniff from Karthik. Waiting to come up with an idea on what to do next, I just hung on tight until they started squirming in my grip. And then I squeezed some more so they wouldn't think it was too much of a joke. But our wires were really crossed that day, as they started squealing and giggling and squirming with a vengeance, and me gripping tight as ever until finally I let them tumble out and they sat on the floor screaming with laughter and offering me high fives. Somehow, I'd stumbled into success. For the rest of the day, they read their books after I refused to read to them since they were old enough to read for themselves. They played board games that I'd never seen before, insisted I play with them, and crowed mercilessly as they trounced me. We watched TV together, and I watched all kinds of nonsense with them until I forced them to watch an athletics program with me, which they proceeded to enjoy. We went outside onto the lawn, and they wanted to play football. I said I didn't have one, and they looked at me pityingly. So I said okay, we'd get one the next day, which pronouncement was greeted with much jubilation. That would be the end of my beautiful, lush grass lawn, so lovingly nurtured, I mourned. But you will gauge their profound impact on me, because already I was consoling myself that grass could be regrown. Ratnabai had offered to come back to serve their dinner. She was confident they'd be hungry by then, but I'd insisted we'd managed to reheat the food she'd prepared. So when they went off for their baths, I laid the table and got everything ready. They set to it with gusto, as if they hadn't eaten in a week, though there'd been lunch and a snack between the pancakes and then. And then we cleared up together, which was admittedly impressive. While they were still little boys, self-evidently a pestilential species, they seemed to have a few things going for them. I messaged Gauri to check if she was okay to take a call from them, and when she called, they were excited to give her all their news. How Mama had scared them with his funny rules list, and how they watched people throwing spears. Javelins, I corrected. Javelins, they repeated. And can you believe it? Mama doesn't even have a football, but we're going to buy one tomorrow. And Ratnabai made their favorite pancakes as a welcome gift. And they had separate shelves in the cupboard in their room, and Vishnu had taken the upper shelf because he was taller than Karthik. They wanted to see Gauri's hospital room and declared it to be rubbish. And then wanted to show her their room in Mama's house, which was declared to be much better, even though it was for grown-ups and not for kids, and there were no action figures or anything, but still. It was all very upbeat, and I was duly cognizant of the praise. Extremely subtle, but praise, nevertheless, for my home decor, and was inordinately chuffed. Gauri blew them kisses and wished them good night and asked them to buzz off so she could talk with her baby brother. And they scampered off, squealing that they were going to call me baby mama henceforth. And I threatened them with dire consequences. But when I turned back to the phone, Gauri's eyes were brimming with tears. "Thank you," she choked out. And I dismissed her rapidly before my eyes welled up to, "Don't be silly, Gauri. They'll be fine. Ratnabai and I will keep them fed and watered till you get your act together again. Now, you work on that, because that's what's most important." She blew me teary kisses, and I her, and I disconnected the call thinking how far one could go in just one day.